Aloha, my friends. My name is Ameera Atlantis, and I'd like to do a video and share with you some teachings that I feel very called to return back to the people of Earth, the people of the New Atlantis, something known as the 7 sacred laws of Atlantis. Now, if you've been following me and following my work for a little while, you know that as an incarnated Atlantean Mer, I am here to return the wisdom and the knowledge back to the people of this earth, of the great kingdom of Atlantis, and help to course correct the timelines and the spiral where Atlantis fell 13,000 years ago, the last golden age of Atlantis. I have the assignment by my beloved Poseidon and through God and the Mer to be kind of a voice or a liaison and a space holder and also a teacher and a healer for the Atlantean wisdom and philosophy. Recently, I have opened a temple, a legitimate New Earth Atlantean temple, known as the Temple of the New Atlantis. And Spirit directed me to open this temple from this church community to the collective as a safe and sacred space for those of us who are actively wanting community, common unity, and desiring to raise Atlantis, to reignite the great kingdom of Atlantis through that wisdom and through the philosophy, through our collective vision to course correct the timelines, through our collective visions to go back into ancient teachings and ancient knowledge and philosophies of how the Atlanteans lived in community, and how they lived together as third dimensional beings and fifth dimensional beings in a third dimensional body, and how they co-created unity together through something called the 7 sacred laws of Atlantis. So if you're interested in learning about the Temple of Atlantis, I am registering members. Temple of Atlantis. templeofthenew.atlantis.org is where you can find this community online. I've been given the task to really co-create and bring the esoteric knowledge out of the esoteric and ground it into 3D and offer it back to all of us as something that is a real and palpable thing that we can utilize to co-create the new Earth, or what I call the New Earth Atlantis. So I realize I'm repeating myself just a little bit. And sometimes I do that just to really truly anchor in, or to help you to integrate the idea or the knowledge that Atlantis is a real place. All time happens at once, right? There's no past, present, or future. Atlantis is still a thriving community in another realm. And we in this timeline are reliving kind of a version of the last fall of Atlantis 13,000 years ago, where we're seeing how technology and misinformation and lack of authentic leadership and deception is really kind of controlling and deceiving the masses into consuming and injecting and acting out in ways that are in alignment with artificial intelligence and not in alignment with organic life. And organic and natural life is what is real in this world, or in this reality. Organic and natural life. When we are immersed in our technology, and like we're doing technology right here as I'm speaking to you, it's a wonderful asset for communication. It's a wonderful asset for us to reach those we might not be able to reach otherwise. It's a wonderful gift when used correctly and when used in integrity, but technology is also a means of trickery. It's also a means of spellcasting. And so as we kind of go through our process individually and collectively of determining what's real and what's not real, remember, I'm here to remind you that human touch is what's real. And organic, natural foods and herbs and supplements of this earth is what's real. Love is what is real. Non-judgment is what is real. And because we have a preference or propensity to one thing or another, does not mean we have to be in judgment of what we call the other. It simply means we are expressing a preference of a direction, a timeline, whatever you want to call it, in which our energy and our soul feels most aligned. Okay, so when I talk about creating this, this church, this temple, this school, and bringing forward these teachings of Atlantis, they are inclusive teachings, meaning they belong to you, they belong to me, they belong to everybody. But not everybody on this earth is going to choose to come into these teachings, and that's their right as human and as soul. We all get the right to body sovereignty. We all get the right to soul choice, to soul agreements, and to the direction of our soul. So as you see this kind of separation happening, separation is not necessarily a bad thing. We hear a lot about unity consciousness and how we're all supposed to be, not dividing and here with this unity consciousness, and yet, these different directions humanity is going. That the separation is not necessarily a bad thing. I am reminded of a Bible quote about the wheat from the chaff. And I'm also reminded that, we are here individually to all be in our own unique expression of what we feel is our truth. And so because some of our brothers and sisters are choosing something else as their truth, and we're choosing something else as our truth, we are separating. But remember, as we separate or as we make our choices, what I remember is that in the grand scheme, we are all one. There is nothing that truly separates us. We are all one in the mind of God, just playing roles and choosing different expressions in this matrix. So as you make some choices to move your energy, to move your alignment, to move your peers in a direction from some others, and yes, you will be separating, it's okay, because the ultimate truth is we are never separate from one another. We are simply all choosing to have different kinds of experiences here in this 3D realm. We are bringing 5D into the 3D. We're not leaving 3D to go get 5D. 5D, we are bringing it in to meet us where we are at and creating expansion, upon that. So the Temple of the New Atlantis, this community that I am building, is really all about returning this wisdom and knowledge and this form of community to the collective, which I'm very, very honored to take on this role and this leadership. Spirit told me very clearly that this was part of my higher calling and part of my destiny. So if you choose to have a look, and again, the website is templeofthenewatlantis.org, and contribute if you can. If you simply want to just become a member and be a part of this, wonderful. I'm happy to have you. I've also written a lovely religious medical exemption letter. So if you or someone in your life needs an exemption letter in order to keep your job or whatever you have going on in life, I have something beautifully written on the divine blueprint of our DNA and sovereignty that is available to help you out in life. You'll find also on the website the 7 sacred laws of Atlantis, which I am going to explore with you and talk about now. So the first of the 7 sacred laws of Atlantis is the law of one, that all beings are equal and one with the creator. So that means no matter what your lot in life is, no matter what your social status, your job, no matter who you are as a being, and not even as a human being, but all beings are equal and one with the creator. The creator holds us all in the palm of his, her hand, in the embrace of the divine great mother, right? All as one, allowing us this free will to express ourselves out here on the earth in whatever way we see fit. There is no separation, and we are always all one, no matter what the matrix, or no matter what the illusion of this world is mirroring, reflecting, teaching, or our perception of what that is. The second sacred law is the law of karma. and which states that we acknowledge our actions, our words and thoughts bring cycles and learning directly into our life experience. So, karma is not necessarily a bad thing. Karma kind of gets a bad rap. You can accrue or collect good karma, just like you can maybe collect some not so good karma, right? Our actions, our words, and our thoughts, no matter what they are, bring cycles and learning directly into our life experience. And there's nothing wrong with that, because as experimenters, as creators, we have the free will and the privilege to play around with karma, with cause and effect, right? And see what's going to happen. And so I think the more that we gain an understanding of our soul, and the more we come into, alignment with ourselves and with our truth, and even embrace our flaws or embrace our mistakes and see ourselves with amusement and love instead of criticism and judgment, the more we can make decisions that will karmically affect us in a way that is maybe positive and maybe even helpful, and release some of those karmic cycles that we've been playing around with for maybe many, many lifetimes. And certainly the karmic cycle that is happening through this spiral of time with Atlantis right now. The third seven sacred law is the law of manifestation. So we agree to create within our free will, merge with divine will for the greater good of all. So we are creators, we are manifestors, right? We bring it all in through our thoughts, through our actions, actually through the law of karma. And then we figure out what to do, once we've manifested different relationships or situations into our life. And we can agree that we create with our free will, our given free will, merged with divine will, meaning we have a partner in everything. Like, you are not walking this earth in your free will by yourself by any means. You have a team of guides. You have whoever you call upon through your soul, your heart lineage, whether that's your angels, whether that's maybe an extraterrestrial family. For me, it's Mer. And of course, the oneness that we create with and through the divine, which encompasses all. The law of manifestation says that, once we understand that we can merge divine will and free will together, it can provide us with a little bit more of a conscious or even a pleasant life experience, if that's what we like to have. The law of grace. Nothing is unforgivable and no one is unlovable. Through our acts of forgiveness and self-responsibility, we heal. So I really do believe that there is nothing unforgivable in the eyes of the Creator. I know this, I believe this, because God has given us free will, right? Nothing is unforgivable and no one is unlovable. So no matter who you are or what you have done in this life or other lives, this expression of you here in this reality is really just one tiny fraction or section or aspect of the totality of your being. All of us are acting out in other lifetimes and realities through other aspects in a variety of ways. Some of you might be having a great life experience and be really good people here, in this lifetime, or consider yourself to be a really good person and be alongside other people who aren't so great or aren't so kind, or maybe don't live a life that is within kindness and consideration of others. But if you don't know, you are in other realities, you are in other timelines doing things that are maybe not so nice. In other realities, you are the perpetrator instead of the victim. And I realize all this, I have a good understanding of all of this because of my work in past life regression therapy for many, many years, and going through into my own lifetimes where I have been not the good guy. Like, I've been the perpetrator, I've been the bad guy, I've been the person who's really inflicted harm on other beings. And so no matter who you are and how you're showing up in this reality, because this is not the totality of your being, this is just you playing around with karma and free will and manifestation in this reality. anything you have done in this life is forgivable if you choose to be forgiven. If you choose to remember that you are all part of the totality of God, that we are one with God. We are creators having a human experience, expressing ourselves in a multitude of different ways. And everyone here is lovable. And if you don't feel lovable or forgivable on this timeline, remember that you have other timelines you exist on where you are still in the feeling of being whole and complete and perfect. And you've just forgotten that for a little while on this timeline, and you're playing a different role. But as we start to integrate the totality of all ourselves and recognize that we really are all things, black, white, gay, straight, all different colors, all different religions, doing all different kinds of things in all different realities, we can recognize that anything that we have done on this timeline or anything that has been done to us is completely amendable. And the more we fall into the grace, the law of grace, which is that you are a divine being who belongs with and to God first, last, and always. It puts us in a place of self-responsibility, right? Through self-realization, where we are able to heal ourselves through divine grace. Number 5 is the law of unconditional love. We love ourselves, we free ourselves of judgments and allow ourselves to experience life in all of its unfolding. God is unconditional love. We humans talk about unconditional love a lot. Like we talk about how maybe we unconditionally, should love each other, or we unconditionally love our children or parents or whoever. I think humans still have a lot to learn about unconditional love. And unconditional love means that we look into the acts of others or the choices of others that maybe aren't a reflection of what we would have wanted to choose, or even as something that has hurt us in some way. When we can learn to look into that without judging other people for their free will choices, by recognizing where we have also made choices through free will that we could also be judged by, that is a very freeing concept. Unconditional love doesn't mean that we have to forgive and forget everything anyone has done to us that has caused us harm. That we can just wipe the slate clean and, it's all good. We just forgive it and we have to get over it. There's not a spiritual bypass in the non-judgment. What that means is that we heal our own victim. We heal and take responsibility for our own woundedness, for our own karma. And we start to look at ourselves with unconditional love and unconditional respect, and go back to that law of grace where you are completely lovable and completely forgivable just for being you, just for being here and trying this whole earth experience out. That no one judges us except really us when it comes down to it. And the more we free ourselves of judgment for the things we have done in our lives that maybe have not worked out so well, or maybe have even caused harm to others, the more that we can look to the law of grace and free others from judgment for choices they have made in their life. And lastly is, number 6, the law of intention. Honor and integrity is a sole directive in all choices. So your intention, my intention with our actions and our thoughts are really the foundation of how things are going to play out in the long run. So, so when we go into something with the intention of doing harm, the catalyst or the karmic reaction of that is always going to cycle around to coming back to harming us in some way. If we go in intending with the intention of doing something or reacting out in some way that are out of the other laws, out of the law of grace, out of unconditional love, that means that we are out of our integrity. And our soul always yearns to be in integrity, right? We want to feel good. At the end of the day, we want to feel good about the choices that we've made. We want to feel like we can look ourselves in the mirror and sleep well at night, as they say, through the choices we have made and through our honor and through our integrity. So sometimes we do things out in the world and we don't realize the repercussions, or we don't realize that our intentions are going to cause and create the ripple effect of ultimately what happens in an outcome. And so as we go back to these other laws and we recognize that we make choices and we talk and we speak through honor and integrity, that when we choose our life path through the law of intention with honor and integrity, we become more in alignment with our soul and utilizing intention and honor integrity as a directive of our soul more often, because we're aware that this is one of the 7 sacred laws, and it's really one of the laws that set us free. And lastly, number 7 is the law of responsibility. We are responsible to manage our own actions and integrity. So I'm responsible for how I act out into the world. You are responsible with how you act out into the world. So this means that, no matter what has happened with our parents or whatever has happened with the people who come and go through our lives, who have maybe created, some harm within us, created those subconscious patterns, those conscious patterns. We are ultimately responsible. I am responsible for how I act out in the world. I am responsible for the honor and integrity of my intentions. And when I recognize and become really honest with myself that I can't blame anyone else, I can't give anyone else credit, I can't blame anybody else out there for how my life is turning out, that ultimately I get to stand in my own power and my own sovereignty and my own authentic nature and look at what I have created through my free will, when maybe it wasn't mixed with divine will, or what I have created through, not standing in grace and not standing in conditional love and self-love, and take responsibility of that with a lot of compassion for myself. It's in those moments where our life begins to change, when we start to manage our own actions and take responsibility for our energy. It really means that we're coming into our own authority. And when we are in our own authority, nothing and nobody outside of us can ever take our power away from us again, because it does mean that we have unionized, that we have integrated our source connection to such a degree, and that we are so in alignment with our, with our spirit directed life and our integrity, that nothing and no one can come between that. And whether or not you have people in your life who agree with your life path, who agree with your choices, and some of you listening might be very, very different than your families, than the other people around you. And it can be very hard not to feel victimized through that, through those actions, through the actions and opinions of other people. And I think at this time in life, we're finding it no greater time, at no greater moment are we finding that more pronounced. So the challenge to come into the law of responsibility and come into sovereignty is more challenging and also more rewarding than any task that is before us at this time. And my belief is that if the world were to be aware of these 7 sacred laws and decide to live by them and through them, as a way of life, then most of the problems going on in this world, most of what is dividing us, most of what is confusing us and maybe not allowing us to come into, the unification and the higher knowledge that we are all one, most of that would dissipate and go away. So thank you for watching this video. You can find me at ameeraatlantis.com. If you would like to do some work with me a little bit deeper on this, you can sign up under the work with me option on my website. Regression therapy, intuitive readings, Atlantean, Lemurian reconnections, 13 chakra healing courses, intuitive guidance. I do all kinds of wonderful things. And of course, the Temple of the New Atlantis, templeofthenewatlantis.org is where I will be kind of housing all of these teachings and more. Again, it's my pleasure to be with you and to assist the collective in this monumental healing our planet is going through, and this monumental and massive timeline shift and up level and reemergence of the new Earth Atlantis. Sending you oceans of aloha, and thank you for allowing me to express myself today.